I wrote a program that allows a stock ROM1 or BASIC1 Commodore PET to work with disk drives. You load it from the tape cassette, and then you get load and save operations. ROM1 Disk Magic. Of course, I really don't want a disk drive. I want a modern device such as SD2 PET by the future was 8-bit, or PET Disk Max by BitFixer. Unfortunately, BitFixer's is back-ordered, so I'm looking forward to getting it to do some testing, but I was able to do quite adequate testing with the SD2 PET. While I see no reason why this wouldn't work with an actual Commodore PET disk drive, please let me know if you actually try it with it. I'd love to know the results, as well as any additional equipment that you've tried this with. While I was waiting for SD2 PET to arrive, I did all my testing using Vice with the patch disabled that allowed disk drives to work. Once I received SD2 PET, I plugged it into my Commodore and loaded my patch. Unfortunately, it did not come up. And through diagnostics, I found out that at some point in the past, this Commodore PET was repaired, and the 6520, which controls the IEEE 4888, was plugged in backwards. I went ahead and reseated it the correct way, and I was lucky that the chip and the controlling circuitry was not blown. My ROM1 Disk Magic came right up. Since my Commodore PET is stocked with only 8K of memory, I made sure that the patch only used memory in tape buffer 2, at least for loading. If you need save operations, then I use 75 bytes of memory at the top of program space. Of course, since I'm using the space for tape buffer 2, I disable device 2 so that there's no errors that are created. Be very careful and read the instructions when you plug in these modern devices, or if you have an old vintage disk drive, that you plug it into the proper port and you have the correct side facing up on the terminal plugs. I also created a ROM1 Disk ROM Replacement where you replace the ROM that's in H4 and you get disk operations. My ROM replacement uses Andre's patch code that allows disk operations to work, and then I improved on Vossi's concept and replaced some of the error messages where it has the patch between the error messages. In addition, I noticed that Andre's code caused some code to be orphaned and no longer necessary within the ROM, so I was able to use some of that space. So instead of, like Vossi's, 8 error messages having to be shortened, I only needed to shorten 4 error messages. Where can you get a custom 6540 ROM created or replacement ROMs for your system? Well, I found NivagSwedna's site on Tindy allows just that. Here's an example. In the description of this video, I'll provide links to everything I've discussed here. I'll also have a link to the actual source code so that you can take a look at that, as well as further details about ROM1 Disk Magic. Thank you. ROM1 Disk Magic.